This is American Pulse, the podcast, brought to you by the American Pulse and Canadian Pulse Substacks, with your hosts, George Froelich and Tamara Stanners. Wow, we just got some breaking news in from the CBC. You know, that's like a tragically hip song, and if you're an American, you don't know what I'm talking about, but George just might. Late breaking news is that, guess what? Shockingly, our trade talks for the CUSMA, that is the Canadian, United States, and Mexican Trade Agreement, aren't going that well, are they, George?
No, all of a sudden, the Canadians are saying we're not prepared to accept something, whatever it may be, that the Americans proposed. And until now, it's been the information that's been leaked. Things are going well. We hope to present a proposal to Trump up by Monday. And when you think about it, who would throw things off the track? It wouldn't be the negotiators for the Americans. It wouldn't be the negotiators for the Canadians. So I can only surmise that it was Trump. They gave him some information. He said, "Oh, I don't like that." And so that's why things are changing, because the professionals have been leaking to the media on both sides, the American side and the Canadian side. And they're basically, we're saying that, things are coming along and we hope to have something to announce or give to Trump by Monday. And all of a sudden it changes. Well, think about it. Who the hell do you think that was? Brought about the change.
So this was a preemptive conversation before the big agreement that was supposed to have taken place by August 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know from your article in American Pulse that our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, does not want the sort of piecemeal sort of agreement that had been building on the American side for us. He wants something that's more comprehensive, one that's going to protect us in trade through multiple sectors, not just the ones that have been cherry-picked by the United States. He said he wasn't interested in that kind of thing. Do you think that he is also just standing firm to his ground, saying, yeah, no, that is not going to work for us anymore, whatever you are saying, Donald Trump, and being firm?
Absolutely. I think this is a reflection of, he's got a vision, what he wants, right? And until now, judging by what has been in the press, it looked like both sides were going to get what they wanted. And all of a sudden, there's a change. So it comes back to, it's Big Daddy Trump who probably caused it.
Right. And we call him Bad Daddy, by the way. He's Bad Daddy Trump.
Okay, Bad Daddy. Sorry.
Daddy. That's okay. It's easy to forget. But it's important too, because this is American Pulse and we are Canadians talking about this and our relationship, that we are a huge piece of trade for the United States of America. It's not like we import a lot of things to the United States that are finished products. What we do is we provide a lot of the core ingredients for much of the manufacturing that the United States of America does. And every single bit of protectionism, all of the tariffs that are put upon the products that we send back to the United States, like our aluminum and uranium and potash and such things, all of those costs are added right back into every aspect of the infrastructure of the United States of America. So this just doesn't hurt just Canadians. This absolutely hurts Americans too. And in fact, anybody who buys products from North America.
Absolutely. And Trump has been giving the Americans a BS line saying, oh, he loves tariffs and all the wonderful things it's going to do. And he keeps saying that, the American Treasury is bringing a fortune because of these tariffs, right? And he keeps saying, oh, the American public is going to benefit. Well, he hasn't done a damn thing to give Americans any kind of monies that he gets through the tariffs and give it back to them. Nothing. He keeps promising and he does nothing. So you have to ask yourself the question, what is he doing? Well, it's just,
he's making money for his
show.
He's making money for his very rich friends. For example, Howard Lutnick, I know, as an American, you know who he is, and the evil that he presents. He and his sons bought up tariff debt. Like they bought contracts from businesses so that when, if ever, the government was going to give refunds for tariffs collected, they would actually get their refunds because for people who were struggling, just trying to make ends meet, the Lutnicks could go in and buy, for pennies on the dollar, these businesses' debt, and then they would then get all of the returns from the tariff returns, and they are doing that right now and making millions. And other big corporations who have received their tariff refunds, but it's not the human beings who have been affected, it's the rich folk that Trump seems to like to help a lot.
Well, I mean, that's a story of Trump. He makes sure he does well, and then he makes sure all his friends do well. He doesn't give a hell about the average American. He
No.
talks the talk, but he doesn't walk it. And that's how you judge him. Never mind what he says, judge him by what he does. And he's done F all for the average American consumer. Nothing.
No, nothing at all. But you know what he has done is he has created a tremendous amount of wealth for himself. I was doing just a little bit of digging into how much he has made. Well, he
What's
has
going on?
since January. Can you see me okay? No?
I can see you okay, but you cut out there.
Oh, weird. Okay. Well, so Trump, since January, has purchased $100 million in bonds that are directly impacted by his policies, which is an impeachable offense. And yet, still, there he is doing his thing every single day, falling asleep in his chair at the White House in the Oval Office every single day.
You know, Tamara, I can't understand why America puts up with it. Do you remember the Vietnam War, how people got
Yeah.
into the streets, major protests? But the current American public doesn't do that anymore. Yes, there are people who will go out and protest, but generally speaking, it's not an active resistance to him. It's a passive resistance. And I think it's basically the boomers. They have, I don't know why, but that passion for democracy, we don't want a dictator. All of those things that used to be a driving force in American history and American society is gone. It's just like, well, that's the way it is. I don't understand it. I
Well,
don't know.
I know that there have been hundreds of protests against what's been happening. You don't see them covered. They don't get the kind of attention that protests used to get. It's because also, the media system is broken as well, and has been broken to a large extent by the guy who wants to control the media. His name is Donald Trump, and he doesn't want people seeing that there are protests, and so people aren't seeing it. So the only place that people can go is again right back to social media and the kind of echo chamber that it has become. Again, a revolution that is happening behind screens. It just doesn't have the same power as that personal, fierce energy of humans getting in the streets.
Well, I think that's a very astute point on your part, and I totally agree. And the thing is this, the media is engaged, the legacy media, the big media, is engaging in self-censorship, and that's the worst kind. You can bet your boots that there may not be direct discussions, but it's in the back of the minds of the editors and some key journalists. If we do this story, what is Trump going to do? And how is that going to affect our business? You can't tell me that the key people at the major newspapers, the legacy media, don't think like that. And they've caved in. I mean, how many times have we seen when Trump has threatened a lawsuit, ABC News gave him hundreds of millions of dollars? And that's the real scary part, Tamara,
But
that
ABC is
democracy.
fighting back now. ABC is fighting
Yes.
back.
Well,
You
they've
know,
got a new executive officer and he's fighting back. And I actually wrote about that. And
right.
I'll tell you, good for him.
Yeah.
But the thing is this, in order to have any kind of an impact, why would the media in the United States not become one collective voice? Why does it take somebody like ABC to fight back on their own against Trump? And if they were united, they'd have a much bigger impact on Trump.
I got it. I think I know what it is. Oh, it's money. That's probably what it is. And currently, the Ellisons who were doing that massive, it was the Paramount takeover, which included CBS, CNN, and everything else under the umbrella. Well, that's been stalled right now. So what we thought was going to be a gimme for them, where all of a sudden even CNN would crumble, isn't happening. And they are, I think, being a little bit more stand up against Trump, which I like.
Well, the situation with the Ellensons is simply this: they're going to wait till next June to see what happens, and they've been sued by various state officials throughout the United States. The attorney generals of those respective states are launching lawsuits. They don't want the merger to go ahead, and they're finally realizing, my God, we've got a serious problem there. But the conventional wisdom, um, by the smart money, is that that deal is never going to go through.
Yeah.
Be-
Dreams do
because
come true. I hope it doesn't go through. It's dangerous for democracy. It's dangerous for media. It's just it's bad business all the way around. There's no way that anybody like the Ellisons or the Murdochs should have, or let's say Jeff Bezos, who now also owns the Washington, what is it?
Post.
WS Post. Like once these guys who definitely they have agendas, once they control the narrative, it's trouble for everybody. Nobody gets the truth. And that's what's going on. It's been going on for the past while, and it must stop. And I just big kudos to the networks that are standing up against this regime because they're brave and they're threatened with being sued constantly. But what we know now happens is if, say, for example, somebody does get sued by the Trump administration, usually what happens is, or by Trump, is that discovery has to happen. And then all the information from both sides has to be revealed. And the Trumps or the Trump administration does not want that happening, specifically Donald Trump. They don't want the news out about the things going on behind the scenes. It's too dangerous for them.
Oh, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
essentially discovery is a means of finding out the dirt about the opposition, right?
exactly.
And they don't want that. So he loves it when the media says to him, "Okay, we're not going to fight you in court, but you know, here's millions of dollars for you to go away." And
Right.
that's what it's been until now. And it's going to be interesting to see with that new chief executive officer at ABC, who's fighting them, whether he's going to have anybody joining him. So far, nothing. They're all going on their own. And that is disturbing. They should
Yeah.
be united against him.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully maybe something like that may happen. Also very interesting when we're talking about that whole Paramount Ellison deal is that the Ellisons have threatened to take Paramount out of California. And that's obviously where it was born. It is Hollywood after all. That's where most of the studios did get their starts. And because of Gavin Newsom, the governor of California's drive to get billionaires taxed accordingly, they want to leave and take Paramount with them. And in fact, I've heard that Netflix, like this is like same in the studio lines, Netflix is really doing a lot of business in studio land in Mexico, probably to avoid some of the taxation issues that just may come up in the future in California.
Absolutely. Because the moneyed class in California, the billionaires, they have Serge Brin, who's one of the founders of Google, he has spent over, get this, $100 million fighting the Gavin Newsom initiative. And he's not the only one because, to them, $100 million is peanuts if you're worth billions and billions of dollars.
Hmm.
And they figure if we fight long and hard enough, we might get him to change his mind. So it's a clash of the titans.
Right.
On the one hand, you have the Silicon Valley people who are the fastest growing billionaire class there is, and on the other hand, you have the political class like Gavin Newsom, who understands that he has to do something to fight it, to gain some authority and perspective from people who are going to vote for him. So far, he's sticking with to what he believes in, and kudos to him.
Hmm. It's going to be a very fascinating play with the billionaires and the socialists
Yes,
who are really
and
gaining
it's not
steam.
over. And I find the whole thing just scary.
Scary. It is scary. I wish it wasn't scary. I wish it was a little bit more if, enlightened, and that there were people who actually cared about humanity and the planet that could maybe get some money every once in a while. Wouldn't that be fun, George? I mean,
Well,
it'd be
Tamara,
amazing.
that you have hit upon something of what we're all about, supposedly humanity. Now, you tell me, if you're worth $10 billion, what difference is it going to make in your life if you accumulate another 2 billion? Wouldn't it be
Doesn't matter.
better if those people would use the monies they make to doing some good instead of protecting their position of I've got 10 million, I'm going to get another 10 billion, and I don't want anybody to touch it. It's mine. You, I mean,
It's
it
a
just boggles the mind what these
it's
people, where
it's
are their heads?
a contest to see who can have the most. But I heard this very disturbing story out of Alaska. You probably heard it too, and it was about a fishing boat that was in distress, and a cruise ship, an Alaskan cruise ship, ended up going to the rescue of this fishing boat. And it was determined that Mark Zuckerberg's massive yacht was much closer than the cruise ship, just ignored the dismay calls, and would have let the fishing boat just go down as opposed to helping in any way. Whereas the cruise ship, with the captain on the cruise ship and all the people on board were like, yeah, we got to go help these people. And I think that is a perfect illustration of how this is going down. Those billionaires, we know who they care about. It's not us. But, each of us together, like sticking together, taking care of each other, can actually work.
But to those people, that's something they don't know nothing about. For them, it's just accumulate, accumulate, greedy, greedy, greedy. I want more. I want more. For what? For no apparent reason. It doesn't make any sense. And if you look at Zuckerberg's career, when he first started off, he had a couple of young guys with Facebook, the the Winkelbergs, I believe they're called. I may not have the name right. And he just screwed them over. And that's the story of his life now. It's look at the way he talked about Trump before he came into
Yeah.
power. He banned him from Facebook. He badmouthed him. And then when he realized, holy smokes,
Oh,
this guy
wait,
is going to be the
he's
president,
got power.
he's got power. I better suck up to him. And he sucked up to him like you wouldn't believe, and he still does. Now, these are people who are supposed to be role models that run the major corporations that we all that touches each and every one of us. I mean, you can say what you like about Trump. These people aren't any different than Trump. They're just wearing a different mantle, a different persona, but the same principle is there. It's about me, me, me. I want to accumulate as much as I can, and I'll do anything to get there. How
Yeah.
how does Zuckerberg's techniques and perspective on life differ from Trump's? Now, you tell me.
Not at all. And in fact, like most of those
Exactly.
guys. And by the way, it was the
That's them.
Winklevosses, and
Yes,
they're twins, and
that's
they're
right.
doing okay. It turns out they're doing okay because they created a crypto exchange called Gemini,
Yes.
and their early market investment in Bitcoin did them very well. So the Winklevosses, even though Facebook and Zuckerberg let them down, they're going to be okay, George. I think they're
Yep.
probably part of the same team that wants to accumulate as much as humanly possible. But speaking of that accumulation, I also was looking into another story that I found fascinating in that there is a huge amount of money that was to have gone to the national forests of the United States of America. And it turns out that obviously Trump doesn't care about the national forests. In fact, is mining them and logging them and doing everything that was never supposed to happen to them. But the millions of dollars that were supposed to have gone, $323 million I feel like that was some there was some that was an amount of money that was supposed to have gone to the park system, but instead has been taken back, and it's being put into the vanity projects around Washington, DC, which include the White House, the reflecting pool, the what else has he got there? Oh, the beautification of the pillars in front. He calls them beautification, but a lot of people just call it gaudy. It's just crazy what he has done, taking that money, moving it around, and doing with it whatever he pleases.
Well, these people are like the robber barons of the Wild West. They do whatever they can, whatever it takes, and the only thing that stops them right now, every once in a while, the courts get after them and do something. But other than that, it's open game, open season for just about everything he wants, and the track record shows it. And most of the time, he's successful.
Here's the thing, that $323 million figure, is compared to the what, in 2024, I think it was 7,000,000? 7,000,000 was put towards the White House, which is a 5,000% increase in spending, a 5,000% increase when inflation is through the roof and gas prices have gone wild and people are having a very difficult time. And that's what this man is focused on. It's crazy.
Well, but he's always been like that. If you look at his career, nothing has changed. The only difference is he's now the president of the United States. He's got more power than he's ever had in his whole life. But the whole perspective of how he treats people, what he thinks about people, how to do business, it's screw everybody else. I'm going to get ahead of you. I'm going to beat you into the ground in order to get ahead of you. Nothing has changed. He just happens to be the president of the United States. And the thing I'm increasingly worried about, Tamara, is how did he ever get elected?
Um,
Because why do people believe this nonsense? I am very leery of every time I hear a politician get up and say, here's what's wrong with society. Okay. And Trump, to be fair to him, some of his diagnoses were absolutely right. But where the problem starts is I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to fix it because I've got easy solutions. Anytime a politician says that, my radar goes up and I say, no way, Jose. We've got another dictator in the making. We've got another shyster in the making. And unfortunately, in our society today, that's the perspective you have to take. Because what's happening in the United States, in the movement to the right wing politicians and all that, isn't unique to the United States. We see it all over the world because these people have the knack for, excuse my English, bullshitting people, and people fall for it.
yeah. I mean, that is sadly true. I also believe that there is some election interference and probably some foreign interference in the elections, like starting back in 2016. Just even the spreading of information about Hillary Clinton way back then and about her emails and like how that was uh, considered to be such a massive deal. And it was proven
Yes.
that, yeah, it was
And
proven
you're
that it was
absolutely right
interference.
about the foreign. You absolutely right about the foreign interference. I mean, we know the Russians have got all sorts of bots on Facebook and exploiting it, and even talk about interference in Alberta political affairs. I mean, that's a given these days that these foreign governments interfere in the political process through social media and do it as hard as they possibly can.
And it was true too that the Russians had even threatened to do that. They were going to work from the inside to hurt the United States. They threatened that decades before they actually were successful. And again, because Donald Trump seems to have found such a good friend in his buddy Putin, although they don't seem as close lately, which I find very interesting due to all kinds of flippy floppy stances that Donald Trump has taken. That was one of the craziest things that I think anybody saw coming. Because it was actually happening right in front of everybody's eyes. Donald Trump was going back and forth to Russia for decades. He was one of the very first American businessmen to go in there because Putin asked him. And that relationship was just so cleverly handled by Russia. And who would have thought that that guy that they picked actually made it into the White House? There were so many things that had to fall into place just perfectly, and it worked.
Absolutely. And I mean, the Russians are Putin outsmarts Trump anytime. He knows how to push the right buttons with Trump. He knows what to say to him. He knows when to stand up to him. I mean, he's got him pegged um, perfectly. Now, one thing I think we should talk about that we haven't talked about is what's happening in Greenland right now
Oh, yes.
and Canada's role in that. I mean,
Right.
that's pretty
Okay.
interesting.
Well, so first of all, just to sort of open the door, Donald Trump has wanted Greenland for a long time now. He's been very clear and very open, and Greenland does not want to be a part of the United States of America. Sorry, all of you American friends, we love you so much, but we all have our own countries, and you guys got yours. Like, we never need to share that way. But that has not deterred Trump from starting drilling for gas, right?
No oil.
Oil, sorry. So that's happening now in the oceans of Greenland, correct?
That's correct. And what he's done, he's brought in an American company to run the project. And I saw an interview with the president of that company, and he's the epitome of the sophisticated, sleazy oil operator who will go anywhere in the world to discover oil and screw people in the process as long as he gets a good deal. But the interesting thing is they've enlisted a couple of Canadian companies to help them achieve their dream. And the Greenland authorities have told these people, get lost, we don't want you here. But it's sort of a Mexican standoff. They're still there. And this is another attempt by Trump to try to annex Greenland because he lost on the previous ones. Now he's going to try to do it by extracting their oil. He has got no business being there, that
Uh,
company,
Is there
without the agreement of Greenland.
is there anything that can stop it? Like, I mean, who can stop that process from happening where they're just being like full cowboys, like heading into the Wild West, which isn't. It's
So far, I
Greenland.
don't know what Greenland can do. I mean, if they tell them to leave and they won't leave, what is Greenland going to do? I mean, to remove them physically with armed forces, that's the only thing I can see right now.
Which
But
means bringing in NATO. They don't have their own armed forces. They don't have enough armed forces to take
right,
on the United
so
States.
it's a very complicated situation, and the Americans are exploiting it to the nth degree. And the ambassador to Greenland is a Trump toady from the deep South, and he congratulated Trump. And he referred to Greenland as the 51st state. I mean, you think about that. I mean, it just boggles the mind.
Just when is it ever going to end? It's just like every single week it seems to get harder to believe that this can continue. At what point will it stop? I hope it is soon, George. I really do. But it brings us to this time that we're getting really close to the end of the podcast today, and we covered a lot of things. But what we did not get to is one of the best times we have, and it is George's gastronomical gift to you from George's Kitchen, which is part of his Substack empire, because obviously George has an empire. It's called Frolic Media on Substack if you haven't found it yet. You can follow American Pulse, Canadian Pulse, George's Kitchen. What is the other one? George's like,
Oh, gee.
your art. Do you remember?
Frolic Gallery, Northwest Coast Art. I look at
He's big into art, this guy.
and trends, business, journalism.
You love it
I've got
all.
I got 9 newsletters in Substack.
That's amazing. And yeah, you can find them all on Substack at Frolic Media. And if you are a paid subscriber, you get many more things. That's just a little tip. It's a little tidbit for you. But George, what is the gift from your kitchen? Because you create beautiful meals all the time. I know I see them on Substack. What's the gift?
Pierogies.
Love pierogies.
Pierogies, a good old Ukrainian dish.
Sometimes called perehe.
Pereher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Created by the peasants in Russia. When they worked out on the fields all day, they came home, they wanted a hearty meal. And pierogies are essential dough from flour with a filling in it. You can make them yourself. I don't. I buy them store-bought. Mine are simple.
Okay, but what's
Sequence.
your favorite filling first? Favorite filling of pierogi?
Cheese and potatoes.
Yeah, that's good. Onion
That's
and
my
potato.
favorite.
Onion and potato is
Here's
good.
what you do. You buy them frozen. You
Right.
put them in a pot. You cook them till they're done.
Like
Then you put
parboil?
them
Sort of
parboil.
parboil.
And then you put them in a frying pan, oil, butter, fry them. At the same time, you chop up some onions, you fry those. Once they've got a nice brown crust on them, put them on a plate. Take the onions, put them on the pierogies, put a dollop of sour cream on the plate. Bingo, you've got a beautiful meal. On top of that, simple salad, cucumbers, nice, thinly sliced, olive oil, salt and pepper. And here's the trick that I use.
Okay.
Sashimi vinegar. Japanese. It's nice and mild, bit on the sweet side, not too acidic. You put that over the cucumbers cold. You got a beautiful dish, the rich, decadent pierogies with the simple that cuts through the fat and everything else salad of cucumbers. I mean, you can
Sounds
do this dish in 20 minutes, Tamara.
delightful. I know, that sounds amazing. And it's available right in George's kitchen on Substack. That easy.
You got it.
I love that. That sounds good. I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight, but it's probably not going to be pierogies, only because I don't have any. Just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to send you some over?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Well, this has been a good talk, and we're going to do that again. If you'd like more, and if you'd like maybe more Canadian perspective, just head over to our Canadian Pulse Substack podcast. You can find it there. You can actually find it on Spotify and YouTube too. It's Canadian Pulse, the podcast with George Froelich and Tamara Stanners. And we hope you have a fabulous week, and that maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump will start behaving himself. Who am I kidding?
Well, you have to be. I don't see what else you can possibly
I know.
do, Tamara. I mean,
It's never happening.
But I just want to say one thing. Every day I wake up and I say to myself, things have got to get better. And then I see him on television and it gets worse. And as the day unfolded, it gets worse. It seems that we're on an endless cycle of terrible news about the world with Donald Trump at the helm. And thank God I've got a positive attitude on life. I don't let that get to me. But I can see where a lot of people really get upset about that. And I see it on Substack when people react to some of my newsletters. Some people are really, really bummed out about all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be, but I think it's really important to take a break from the screens. Look outside, go for a walk, be in the fresh air, breathe, do yoga. Are you doing yoga, George?
I'm trying.
Okay, good. That's good. That's a good start. But you know what? There's so much more to life than what we are now receiving from all of our screens. We didn't used to live like this. We're not actually built to live like this with screens all the time. We are working on a screen right now, so it seems hypocritical, but I think it's super important to find the balance. It's good for our mental health, physical health, the state of the planet. So take a break and know that there is lots of good out there in the world, and you're part of it.
Bingo.
Thank you for listening to American Pulse, the podcast. Follow us on Substack at Canadian Pulse, at American Pulse, at Froelich Media, and at Tamara Stanners.